American football. The catch. The date is January 10, 1982. The Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers are playing in the National Football Conference NFC Championship. Vying for a spot in the Super Bowl, American football's ultimate game. The 49ers are down 27 to 21 with 58 seconds left. Quarterback Joe Montana sends the ball high in the air toward the back of the end zone. Teammate Dwight Clark leaps well above the defenders and drops it. Not only have the 49ers won the game, but they go on to win the Super Bowl championship that year, along with 3 additional championships over the next 8 years. Thrilling last-second moments like this are why thousands of people pack stadiums and millions of fans are glued to their televisions. During football season, football is a spectacular game with fierce competitors and devoted fans. America's #1 spot. American football is the most popular sport in the United States, and it has been at the top of the list for about 30 years. Professional and collegiate football are both extremely popular. The National Football League, NFL, dominates the world of pro football, with per-game attendance averaging about 70,000. The NFL's playoff season leads up the Super Bowl, the championship game, and one of the biggest sporting events in the world. The National Collegiate Athletic Association (NCAA) governs college football, which ranks third in popularity in the United States behind NFL football and the Major League Baseball. Women play football mainly at semi-professional and amateur levels. The sport's popularity among young people is declining because the game is widely considered too rough for children under 14. Football around the world. American football is played in many countries around the globe, around the world, although it has not yet achieved the global popularity of some other sports. Interest in the game is growing. The International Federation of the American Football, IFAF, has more than 70 member nations with representing of 6 continents. Canada has its own version of football since the late 1800s. Canadian football is similar to American football, with differences with field size, number of players, and some rules. Although most people associate football with outdoor fields, the game can also be played indoors. An indoor version called arena football was developed in the 1980s. The rules which accommodate the smaller playing fields result in faster-paced game. Playing the game. During a football game, 2 teams tend to move the ball forward and eventually into their opponent's end zone to score touchdowns. Players move the ball in one of 2 ways: by running with it or by passing throwing the ball to a teammate who is closer to the end zone. If the pass is completed, that is, if the teammate catches the ball, the player may then try to advance the ball by an opposing player. That team gains possession of the ball. Play stops when there is an incomplete pass. If no one catches the ball and it falls to the ground, each team has an offensive line or platoon, whose job is to try to score, and the defensive platoon that tries to keep the other team from scoring. One platoon from each team is one of the field at any given time, depending on which team has control of the ball. Each platoon has 11 players. Teams can score in several ways. A touchdown is worth 6 points and is most often scored by the offensive team running or passing the ball into the opponent's end zone. However, the defense can also score a touchdown by recovering a fumble, a ball that an opponent loses control of it, or by intercepting the ball and getting it to the opposing end zone. After a touchdown, the scoring team can score 1 extra point by kicking the ball through the goalposts, or 2 extra points by running or passing the ball to the end zone. A third way to score in a field goal worth 3 points, which involves kicking the ball between the goalposts. A final way to score is if a ball carrier is tackled in his or her own end zone, which is called a safety. In that case, the defensive team is awarded 2 points. The game begins with a kickoff of the offensive team. That team moves the ball toward the opponent's end zone in stages, each of which has a minimum of 10 yards. The offensive team has 4 chances, called downs, to either gain those 10 yards or cross the goal line and score. As long as the offensive team gains at least 10 yards within those 4 downs, it keeps possession of the ball and earns another first down and the opportunity to gain another 10 yards. Each play begins at the line of the scrimmage, an imaginary line across the field whose location is based on where the previous play ended plus any penalty yards that have been assessed. Teams have many specialized plays or plans of action for moving the ball down the field. If the offensive team fails to advance the ball 10 yards within the 4 downs, it surrenders possession of the ball. The defensive team uses 2 main strategies to stop the offensive team from scoring. Defensive players try to tackle the ball carrier and then attempt to force fumbles and interceptions to gain possession of the ball. In order of the player to be tackled, one or both knees must touch the ground, which ends the play. Running out of bounds also ends the play. The both professional and college football games, actual playing time lasts for 60 minutes, which is broken into 2 halves and 4 quarters. The playing time of the high school game is shorter, 48 minutes. If the score is tied at the end of the 60 minutes, a 15-minute overtime period is added. An actual football game usually lasts around 3 hours. The additional game time is taken up by stoppages when a player goes out of the bound, a penalty is called, or a pass is incomplete. Football players have specialized positions. The quarterback, the leader of the offensive team, calls play while the team is in a huddle. Then the team lines up. The center passes the ball backward behind his legs to the quarterback. This maneuver is called the snap or hiking the ball. The quarterback then either runs with the ball, passes it, or hands it off. The diagram of this page shows offensive and defensive positions. A football game also has a referee of 6 other officials who make sure the rules of the game are followed. The birth of the American football. American football began in the late 19th century at several North American universities. The game was related to 2 English games, soccer and rugby rugby, which is somewhat similar to soccer but played with hands as well as feet. Two New Jersey universities, Princeton and Rutgers, played a soccer-like game that other northeastern universities also started to play. However, Harvard University preferred a game that was more like rugby. The style spread in the Yale University and beyond. Walter Camp, a Yale student from 1876 to 1881, is considered the father of the American football. He was Yale's team captain and an important member of the Intercollegiate Football Association. Campbell voted rule changes that eventually transformed the game into today's American football. At first, the same players of the team played both offense and defense. The two-platoon system began in the 1940s and later became the standard. Football leagues. Jerry Rice, the best referee in their football history, played the 20 seasons starting in 1985. He won 3 Super Bowls playing for the San Francisco 49ers and set close to the North 40 NFL records. Joe Montana, possibly football's most gifted quarterback, even began his NFL career in 1979 with 49ers. When Jerry Rice joined the team in 1985, the pair made the 49ers a dominant force in the NFL for several years. Montana led the 49ers to 4 Super Bowl wins and retired after 1994 season with numerous playoff records. Playing by Walter Payton of Chicago Bears, played the 13 seasons beginning in the 1975. Chosen to play in the 9 Pro Bowl All-Star games, Payton helped his team win the 1986 Super Bowl. At one time, he held NFL records for most career touchdowns, rushing yards, and many other categories. Football fans. There are many ways for students to play football. Communities or schools often have youth leagues where students compete and tackle football. There are also other forms of the game, such as touch football and flag football, that aren't as physically rough as tackle football. Many fans of the world sport would rather remain spectators. Football fans have many ways of showing their love of the game. Some bundle up and endure blowing freezing temperatures to watch their team play. Others dress in outrageous clothes or paint their faces with their team's colors. Fans may also wear items to match their team's theme, such as a cowboy hat at the Dallas Cowboys or a yellow beak at the feathery red crest of the Arizona Cardinals. Whether you're a fan of a player, this beloved American sport offers great fun and plenty of excitement for everyone.